Hello, YouTube, and all the beautiful people on the internet. My name is Michael, but you may refer to me as just a Prinny. I've decided that today I want to share with you something that I've been working on for quite some time. This is a Disgaea 5 run, but it's a little bit different. I'm sure that most of you people have heard of playing games through as an Iron Man. When every single turn you play, you have to save the game immediately. And whenever a character dies, they're gone forever. It's mostly popular in games like Fire Emblem. Now, a game like Disgaea isn't really good with something like that. Nobody wants to have a character permanently die in a game that rewards you for having characters die. But here's the thing, my beautiful people. I'm not very smart. So, this is going to be the first episode of my Disgaea 5 Iron Man. The rules are simple. Rule number 1. If a character ever dies to anything, that character stays dead for the rest of the game. If it's a story character, I can't use them for anything, and if it's a generic character, I have to take off all of their equipment and delete them immediately. And second rule, I can only make 2 characters at the start of every chapter. And those characters... Now, I'll get into that in a bit. But for now, just because I am tired of explaining things, how about we start this game up right? What do you say, everyone? Let's get that out of here.
A netherworld crisis of extinction-level proportions was perpetrated by the Demon Emperor, Void Dark. The historians of later generations look back in puzzlement at this historical event, the largest netherworld war, which erupted and expanded in a flash, and ended in just one night. Some call it the war with no victor, while others call it the war with no hero. The truth of this event remains a mystery to this day.
It's reckless of you to invade the territory of the Lost. I don't know which netherworld you're from, but we're gonna put you in your place.
Madam Seraphina! At this rate, they're gonna annihilate us, dude!
What did you just say? I will not abide being annihilated. 1 sardine for 20 hours of labor. That was our agreement. Now, put your backs into it. Your soft, squishy backs.
1 sardine to fight a merciless battle isn't a fair trade, dude! First of all, it's impossible for us to defeat Demon Emperor Void Dark on our own, dude!
Though it's against my upbringing to sully my own hands, this once I shall unleash my overload power, Baylor Gaze. Excuse me, you right there. What do you think you're doing?
Eating, obviously. It's a fluffy rising dragon bowl with all white breast meat from a 1,000-year-old dragon lord, and its egg. It's delicious. All right then, I'm finished refueling. Let me get rid of these guys.
You destroyed an entire squad of the Lost Army single-handedly. I found my prince.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Disgaea 5 Iron Man Run. Now, nobody wants to watch this generic-ass anime opening bullshit. So we're skipping ahead.
Episode 1, Prelude to Vengeance.
Excuse me, please wait. My goodness, please wait, Sir Killia. Do you have any idea how much walking I had to do to catch up with you? I spent 1 whole hour walking non-stop through the desolate netherworld that is blood parched. At this rate, my legs will be as rock hard as a foolish Gorgon who was petrified by a cockatrice.
Well, Madame Seraphina didn't actually take a single step herself, dude.
I will have silence.
If you want to rest, take all the time you want. I'm leaving.
How cruel, Sir Killia. Surely you mustn't be planning to leave me here all alone.
You decided on your own to follow me.
You are incorrect. Sir Killia, you decided on your own to save me from the lost. Now you must take responsibility for that decision.
That's unreasonable. I'm out of here. Ugh! Why?
See? You can't even dodge a simple attack. You must be exhausted, Sir Killia. If you keep pushing yourself like this, you will never defeat Demon Emperor Void Dark. In fact, you're liable to become roadkill. This gate connects to a pocket netherworld set aside for my exclusive use. Now, Prinnies, please be Sir Killia's escort. All men are destined to dance in the palm of the hand of the overlord of gorgeous, Seraphina.
And that was the opening to Disgaea 5, everybody. The goal is simple. We play as the main character, we beat the shit out of a bunch of demons, and we save the day, maybe, ish, kind of, I don't know. Now, there's a rule that I haven't talked about yet, but I will be in 1 single second. If any of you don't know what Disgaea is, it's basically a strategy RPG, kind of like Fire Emblem, except a little less serious, and normally it doesn't have permadeath. The hospital is where you go to heal injured characters. You can revive them as many times as you want, and you even get rewarded for doing so. But, well, this is an Iron Man run, so when a character dies, yeah. We can still revive them to reap the benefits, but even if we do, we have to delete them immediately afterward. So it doesn't really help out too much. You can move around just like normal, talk to people, rotate the cameras,
Sorry!
talk to NPCs if you wish. Oh, and of course, you can have little conversations with your party members. Thankfully, none of these are voiced, so I don't have to keep myself from being quiet during these. So now you all get to listen to my succulent voice for the rest of this video. That is, if I can find something to say. So, because I'm here, I might as well explain the main difference between a normal run and this special Iron Man. The second rule of this whole shebang. So you have characters in this game. It can be all different classes from all different walks of life. And this is your main character. His name's Killia. I know it's a lot of numbers, but what's essentially, on the top left, you have your character's total stats. Their health, the SP, which they use to cast spells, Their attack, defense, their magical attack, intelligence, their magical defense, which is resistance, their accuracy, which is hit, and speed, which affects how they dodge attacks and stuff. So they have their movement, jump height, attack range, throwing range, counter abilities, and critical strike chance. Every character also has resistances to all different types of weapons and ailments and elements and everything. And you see that little thing on the side, weapon mastery and aptitude. That determines what weapons a character is good with. The higher the number, the more stats they get from equipping an item of the same type. For instance, for Killia here, because he has a 100 in resistance, equipping an item that gives him 100 resistance would give him 100. But if you equip an item to him that gives 100 attack, he'll get 25 more attack from it, because he has 125 aptitude. Of course, if you give him something that increases accuracy, he'll gain less accuracy from it, because he only has a 90% aptitude, if that makes sense to any of you. That weapon mastery on the very right determines the kind of weapons he's naturally good with. The higher the letter, the better you are. A being the best, C being the worst. You can go all the way up to S, which is like God tier, mega, uber, you should always use this weapon status. Or E, which is please never touch this, I never want to look at this thing again in my life. Why am I telling you this? Well, because Killia here he's pretty beefy, he has good health, he has good defense, he has amazing attack and speed, and kind of just average everything else. He's good with fists and swords, he can also kind of use spears and axes, but he's not very great with everything else. On the other hand, this is our second main character, Seraphina. If you look at her stats, she's balanced across the board. She's not bad at anything. She's great with guns, she's great with bows and axes and staffs, and she's just kind of okay in everything. Why does this matter? Well, because we're not playing the game normally. Right now we have Killia, who is a human character, so he can equip weapons. Seraphina, who's also a human. 2 Prinnies, which are monsters, which means they can only equip monster-specific weapons. And a maid, who's also a human, meaning she can also equip human weapons. Normally, they would equip just the weapons they're good with. But we don't do normal here. Normal's boring. No one likes normal. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the weapon wheel. Whenever we recruit a new character, we have to spin this little wheel that if they're a human, this will determine the weapon that they can only use for the rest of the game. Maybe later on I'll give an excuse to equip a second weapon to people, but for now, whatever they draw, they're stuck with. This could mean that a character who's really bad with magic, like Killia, could be forced to use a staff, which is only good with magic. And you do have to remember, if a character dies, they're gone for good. So, with that out of the way, with all the rules in place, except for one more, which I'll get into later, let us decide the weapons that will be used for, in order, Killia, the main character, Seraphina, the overlord of Gorgeous, and our maid, who I didn't bother to remember her name. First things first, Killia's weapon in this playthrough will be a bow, a weapon that scales with his attack and accuracy. It's not the best, but it's certainly not the worst. For Seraphina, her weapon will be a spear. Once again, it's not the best, but it's usable. It's not the worst thing that she could get. So I'm relatively happy with it. And finally, our lovely little maid will be rocking... another bow. Well then, now that we have bow, and spear, we will be returning and buying these brand new weapons for our unfortunate crew. So then, thankfully, my maid already comes with a bow, but I'm gonna need some new weapons. Look at them, thinking they can hold on to their precious gun and fist, thinking they'll be useful for the rest of the game, but unfortunately not. Monsters cannot equip human weapons like regular characters can. They can only equip monster-specific weapons, called, monster weapons. Unfortunately, doing that whole wheel for them wouldn't really change much, just because there's not really a difference between regular physical and magical monster weapons. So I will not be spinning the wheel for them. Take equipping a monster as a freebie from the wheel. But first things first, instead of all this, I need to buy my weapons for my party members. They have all kinds of weapons. You got your fists, your swords, your spears, your bows, your guns, your axes, your stabs, physical monster weapons, magical monster weapons, armor pieces, and special utility items that could increase weird or unique stats. Belts, for instance, increase attack, glasses can increase your accuracy, and slippers can increase your movement range and jump height. But we don't have to worry about that right now. We need weapons. So, first things first, I need to get this lovely little bow for my main man, Killia. And, oh, poor Seraphina, normally using a gun all the way in the back, has to go head first into danger. So now, we equip them. Normally, a character can equip two weapons, a main weapon in one hand, and a sub-weapon in the other. But, for now, they'll only have one. So let's keep them with one. Alright. And with that, we should be ready to go to our first level.
Let's fix you up.
This is, well, besides the shops, this is the only other facility we have available to us right now. The Netherworld Hospital. Whenever anyone's hurt in battle, you can immediately come back here after the match and heal them up for a modest fee. Now, normally, you receive bonuses for how much health you restore, how much SP you restore, and how many characters you revive. And they can get pretty big. But because I can only ever revive a character once and then immediately delete them, in order to get the base prize for any revivals, I need to lose 5 characters. Which can take a while. Let's just say that. It doesn't look like anybody else needs any healing. So, let's talk to Seraphina one more time. She just reminds us that we have to save our game. But real men don't have to save RPGs. They just play them through in one setting. I, unfortunately, am not a real man. I am a demonic penguin. But don't tell anybody that. Please. Get our staff from that chest. This game's separated into chapters, and sometimes you can find little special items inside these little boxes. There tends to be 3 over everywhere. These are some of the facilities that we don't really have access to right now. The recruiter to recruit new characters, which will explain another rule once I actually unlock it. The strategy assembly, which I won't have open for a while. This is where I can pass bills to change fundamental rules of the game. The data, which just tells me my personal records and personal bests. Trophies, which is just achievements on the Steam version. And memories, which are all the cutscenes and characters that I've met so far in the game. But enough talk. I'm kinda bored. These are just more things that I won't have unlocked, and this is an area where I can buy healing items. Now then, now that all that crap's out of the way, let's get on to the main meat and potatoes of this game. The Dimensional Guide. Talk to him, and you can be whisked away to any part of the level you want. This is basically the level, the chapter select of the game, if you will.
Where would you like to go, dude?
So let's start this game up proper.
Are you finding my pocket netherworld comfortable enough, Sir Killia? How do you like it?
I don't have any time to waste in a place like this.
My, I can't believe what I'm hearing from someone who eats in the middle of a battle.
It's like, haven't you ever heard that an army marches on its stomach?
You're more of a gourmand than you project, Sir Killia. Well, as long as you're strong, it matters not to me. You could say that this pocket netherworld is Sir Killia's and my love nest. Please, feel free to use anything here.
Just so you know, I have no intentions of asking anyone for help.
That is simply not possible. You see, Sir Killia, you and I are connected by the red string of fate.
It's more like a blood-stained leash than a red string of fate, dude!
You are mine, Sir Killia. Please, do not resist.
And what if I do?
All men are destined to become my obedient servants. Ha! Now, Killia, follow my orders.
I refuse.
Huh? That's odd. Ha! Ha! Now you will find me irresistible. Even if you are an overlord, you cannot resist the temptation of my overload power, Baylor Gaze.
What are you trying to do?
Nothing, Sir Killia. According to the information that Prinny's gathered, there are lost army forces in Bloodparch. Let's get going.
And this is our level select. But you won't be hearing my voice for a little bit, as we have one more video that we gotta watch. Sorry to say.
My, who might you guys be?
What's wrong with you? Who goes around shooting at someone before finding out who they are?
I am truly sorry. Your social status is clearly lower than mine, and you seem like a small fry, so I took the shot.
Who are you calling a small fry? We are the aristocracy of Bloodparch. We are cracking down on anyone who looks suspicious and taxing them.
Aristocracy? But you all look so shabby.
Their lives were probably ruined by the Lost, and they have since lowered themselves to being bandits.
Shut up! Just listen. If you don't want to die, then hand over all the money you've got.
I do not even have a single hell to give to dirty bandits like you. Aren't you guys demons too? If you really need some money, then why don't you use force and take it? In any event, dirty bandits like you don't stand a chance of defeating Sir Killia.
What are you talking about? You're gonna have to fight too.
Excuse me?
I've got something I need to do. I don't have time to protect an unsophisticated princess forever. I'll teach you the basics so that you can figure out the rest by yourself.
Are you telling me to do manual labor?
If you don't, then I'm leaving right now.
Very well, I'll fight. It seems I have no choice. However, I don't have any fighting experience whatsoever.
I'm surprised to hear you say that, given how often you've been firing your gun this whole time.
Hey! How long are you guys gonna chat? Hurry up and cough up every hell you have, or you're gonna be sorry.
Seems like they're ready to start. Prepare yourself.
I guess I have no choice. In that case, I'll strip everything of value from those bandits.
And now, to begin our first battle. But we're men, so we don't watch tutorials. I'll just explain what has to be done. Why are they tainted? Oh yeah, I forgot. That was that setting bit. Give me one sec. There we go. So, battles in Disgaea are played on a grid. Kind of like most tactical games like Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem. Every character in this game that you want to bring out is brought out through the base panel. There's one on every level, and you only ever get one. You can pick any character you want to bring out, and you just move them across the board. Characters have their own movement ranges. Killia here, as you can see by that little boot on the bottom of the screen, near the bottom left where his HP bar is, means he can move 5 spaces. That also indicates, from left to right, his movement range, jump height, attack range, counter ability, which means how many counter that. No, that's his throw range. Yeah, I'm tired. His throw range, counters, which is how many times he can counter an attack, and his critical hit chance, which increases the damage he deals. But we don't really need any of that. These are just basic goons, mobs. Your tutorial enemies that just die in a few hits anyway. So, let's start this off. Now, unlike in other games that have this kind of deal, where you're moving characters around and attacking, you take your turn and then the enemy takes their turn. But, let's say I wanted to attack this warrior here. So I'd choose the attack command. I would choose Uppercuticus. And he doesn't do anything. That's because in order to attack with a character, you have to immediately use the execute command, which will make everybody that has already locked in a command do their attack for the turn. The reason that it does like this is so you can move characters around, line them up in specific areas, and have them do multiple attacks in one turn. And if you put characters in certain positions, sometimes they can do little team attacks with each other for a little bit more damage. So this is Seraphina. She has a spear, and spears can attack from a little bit farther away than others' weapons can. So she's going to stab that guy because, well, I haven't figured out why yet, but she's going to stab him anyway. And you're going to shoot him. Now, once every character has done their thing and taken their move, it's time to end your turn. Now, whenever you put in somebody to use an action, you can either press execute to have all the actions play out, or you can end your turn to have all the actions play out and then have your turn end. It just depends on the situation which one you want to use, but since I can't do anything else anymore, we're just going to end our turn. I don't understand why I'm explaining this, considering the fact the only people who would be watching this are people who already know about Disgaea, but fuck it. A little reminder never hurt. So, we're going to move that little maid right there, and normally I wouldn't be able to move someone here, but because I execute instead of ending my turn, you can do your fancy ass attacks, and you can move all your characters afterward, offering a little more options in the way you do things. Sometimes when you kill an enemy, a little chest will pop out. If you break it, you can get an item in it. Sometimes. Like so. I got money.
My turn. All men are my servants.
Once all the enemies die, you win. Now this is the bonus gauge. By doing combos and completing tasks, or just fighting well, you'll fill up this gauge slowly over the course of the map. And every time you fill it up once, you get 1 bonus. And at the end of the stage, you'll get items, experience, and money depending on how many of those little bars you fill up. These are just the tutorial for it. You'll get way more added to the bonus gauge if you use execute instead of ending your turn. Combos and things will fill this up much faster. Now that is the one-time bonus. One-time bonuses can only be gotten, well, once per map, because this bonus list will refill itself after every single time I play this map. If you completely fill it, you'll get an item that's extremely powerful for that part of the game. But sometimes it takes a lot of effort to fill these up. Every level always has the exact same one-time bonus. So aim for it if you want. This is the MVP. The MVP is just the character who did the most damage or did the most stuff. You know, hit damage, healing, the most contribution to your victory. Now, my only regret is that is the fucking end of stage picture that I get. This is gonna... whatever. I don't care. Because I'm making a video. And this is the second final rule of the run. The recruiter. If I ever want to make a character, I just go over there and make a character. In this run... at the end of every match, you have to heal your character. But in this run, I was normally planning on just making characters as I needed and going through the motions. But I found something a little funner to do instead of that. So remember that wheel that I span around the first time to determine the weapons that I chose for all the characters? Well, now we have a wheel to decide the characters. Instead of being able to choose what I make, I have to spin this wheel to decide the characters I get to create. And at the start of every chapter, I need to spin this wheel twice, immediately. This also means that if I ever have the opportunity to unlock a new class, I have to unlock it immediately and then add it to this wheel. So I have no control over what I'm able to make or the weapons those characters are able to use. And I have to beat this game under those restrictions. Sounds fun? Well, it ain't. Believe me, it's a lot of hardship and it's a lot of heartbreak, but we're gonna do this anyway. So, the first character who's going to be joining our cavalcade of calamity is going to be a cleric, a healer, someone who equips a staff, casts healing magic, does normal goody two-shoes stuff. And our second class is going to be a Valkyrie, a female warrior, someone who gets right up into the middle of fights and just kind of stabs things with spears and magic and stuff. Now, well, that's done, but we still have the weapons. Both of those are human classes, meaning they equip human weapons like Kilia and Seraphina do. So they have to spin the wheel for both of them. The cleric gets If I got another freaking bow, I would have been real bad. A staff. The magic user gets a staff, which is a weapon only used for magic. So maybe my luck's turning around. The Valkyrie, on the other hand, is going to be rocking an axe. Also, neither of them are bad. So you know what? I'm not complaining. Anyway, let's get this over, and I can show you how to make a character.
Thanks!
So, this is where you hire characters to add them to your team, and delete characters to remove them from your team. All characters are recruited with the money that you earn from the end of matches, or from selling things. And these are all the classes you get to create for now. Eventually, by doing certain things around the game and getting specific things done, you'll be able to unlock more and more classes to recruit. Because of the nature of this run, I'm going to be unlocking every single class, be it human or monster, the immediate second I'm able to. So I have a few more things to add to that wheel. So, these are the first two classes, the Warrior and the Valkyrie. Both of them are heavy hitters, mainline tanks. Let's just skip that, I can explain this. They're just mainline tanks, they got good health, attack, defense. Both of them are pretty much carbon copies of each other. The only real difference is that while the male warrior is a little bit better at using an axe, the female warrior is a little bit better at using a bow. That's really the only difference. These are mages. You got your male mage, called the Skull, and the female mage, called the Witch. They pretty much have exactly the same stats across the board, with just slight differences in their accuracy and speed. Male mages use more SP, the stat you use to cast spells, to cast really big, powerful spells. They're better in shorter, quicker bursts, but they'll run out of magic much faster. While witches are better at long, drawn-out fights, because they use less mana to cast spells. Every class has what's called an evility. Evilities are basically the passives that a character has, that they start the game with and what sets them apart from everyone. For instance, Valkyries deal more damage the farther they move in a turn, while warriors get stronger the more surrounded that they become. These are your fist fighters, which I still can't create, your martial artist, and your fight mistress. Both of them are just punchies that just punch things, and they punch things, and they punch things. The martial artist really likes hitting back characters over and over and over again, while the fight mistress is more about evading counters and putting people in unwinnable situations than she is about just brute forcing her way to victory. You have your healers, your clergy, and your cleric. This is a guy. I'm just going to put that up there right now. Both of them are just your standard, stereotypical healers. They're not really good at offensive attacks, but they're not necessarily the worst on the front lines. The females are a lot stronger and beefier than the males, while the males just tend to have better magic all around. Now, males can cure all status ailments whenever they heal something, while females just heal things by a lot more. But we're going to be making a female after this, but I'm going to show off the next two. First off is the maid. I already have one in my party, which is a good thing. Maids are kind of jack of all trades. They can do pretty much anything you want them to do, and they're mainly just there to fill out a multi-role purpose. They can also use healing or attacking items, also at the same time that they are themselves are attacking. So they can attack, move, and then use an item, or use an item, then attack, then move, or move, attack, use an item. They basically get a free action every turn, as long as it's item related. They're pretty reliable characters to have in your team, and they can do anything you need them to do. And then you have the Prinny, the only monster we can create. Prinnies, well, monsters in general, lack a few of the things that regular characters can do. One such which you'll find out next. But they can do their own special, unique traits, their own spin on character creation, and their own spin on viable members of your team. I wouldn't call any of them useless, and the Prinny is no exception. We start with 2 of them, which is why I'm glad I didn't roll another one. But let's get this over with first. First things first, we're going to make a healer. You can make a character with any name you want. It doesn't matter what it is, and sometimes they can get really funny random names. Let's see what random name we get. Ari? Yeah, fine. Sure, Ari. This is the capacity. The capacity is how much money you're spending to get this character. The more money you spend, the better that character will join your team as. So that can either join them as a good for nothing, which costs the least amount of money but actually lowers their stats, or the incompetent, which costs a slightly more amount of money but is just, it's a tiny boost that won't really affect anything in the end. It can go all the way up from average to skilled to distinguished to genius, but I don't have the money for genius. So let's go for incompetent. Now, that bonus you saw, that it was -5 for a good for nothing or +1 for an incompetent, you can raise one stat by 1. For instance, this character, Ari, can raise any stat by 1. And when I raise a stat by 1, she will just be slightly better in that stat for the entirety of her lifespan. Because of the fact that she's going to be using a staff and she's going to be healing, and I really, really, really want her alive for as long as I can, I'm going to increase her health so that she can just survive that tiny bit more. Now, here's the part I'm a little scared about. You can recruit a character at levels, so you don't have to recruit them at level 1. You can recruit them at any level you want, as long as this guy is the same. Kilia is level 3, which means that I can recruit anyone up to level 2. Here's the problem. Normally, Kilia will level up very fast in the game, and he's going to become pretty strong. If he dies before the end of the game, that's the maximum level I can recruit a character. So if he dies at level 10, that means that I can only ever recruit characters at level 10. And they're going to be very weak compared to my party later on, and I'm going to have to babysit them for the rest of their lives. Next, you can recruit their personality. This doesn't really affect any stats or anything, it just affects the lines they say when you select them or move them.
Leave it to me.
I like open-minded just because it's the only healer it's the only healer voice I don't find annoying as hell. And finally, it's the color. Any color you want, just choose it and it's yours. I'm gonna go with the green one this time because I never really pick that one. And you won't get charged until you actually say yes. Now, there's one more character that we need to create, which is our Valkyrie. Now, no character comes with equipment, by the way. You have to buy all their equipment yourself. So let's make our Valkyrie. Alanis? Yeah, that sounds like a good name for a character. And because of the fact that we're not going through that tutorial, we can make them any amount of anything we want. Because we have enough money, let's make her skilled, which gives her a huge boost to any stat we want. Because she's going to be using axes, she's going to be on the front line, let's increase her health by a little bit, let's increase her defense by a little bit, and let's increase her attack by a little bit. She'll join at level 2, and Let's go effort, Lady Fighter. And let's make her... Let's make her this one. Actually, let's make her this one. It looks more like an axe fighter, wouldn't you say? Alright. Now, this little pop-up is something I'll explain, but I'm going to be doing it right now. Because I'm playing on the Steam version of this game, it comes with all the DLC already equipped. The DLC is extremely powerful characters, items, and huge bonuses. Besides these three, I will not be using the DLC shop for any of this, because they kind of break the game. This is said DLC shop. Now, the reason I'm using those three is because all of these are characters and gigantic swamps of money and items that just... it kind of breaks the game. Instead, the only thing I'm going to be doing is hiring characters that I can eventually recruit later. In this case, it will be the Celestial Hostess, an all-around class that's just good at everything, but isn't great at anything. The Kunoichi, which is just a really fast, relatively weak ninja. And the Sorcerer, which is a pure debuff machine that just makes everyone's life sad. And now I can recruit all of them, but that will be the last time that I ever enter the DLC shop. Now, I need to buy some items. Poor Ari and Alanus need items to go into battle and things to do. I actually have a staff, so I can just give that one straight to her, and I don't have any armor. So I'm going to have to buy some armor for her and buy an axe for Alanus. You can also sell things too, and you start with all these special healing items. Let's seal these things, because we don't need them. These are just items that can heal you. Mint gum restores health. Unopened sodas can restore your SP so you can cast more spells. Sardines do a little bit of both. Fairy dust can cure ailments, which I'll explain as they come up, because we're not really going to be running into those for a while. And throwing knives are an attack item that you can use to throw at someone and do damage. The more someone's accuracy is, the more damage that the item will do, which is what makes maids and characters like Seraphina great at using them. But for now, I need an axe. So let's give her the nail bat. Instead of just buying it and equipping it later, you can instead just equip it straight from this menu and just buy it as is, which is what I'm going to do. So there you go. And let's get some defense. I'll get you a pot lid, and I'll get you some wrinkled clothes. You shouldn't be on the front lines anyway. I don't really need any of that stuff, so that should be it.
Let's fix you up.
Before you go into a battle, always heal up everyone, just in case. You never know when you equip something that gives you 1 health or gives you 1 stat in something. It's just a good thing to check. And with that, we are now ready. But before we go on to the next level, actually, yeah, let's play the next level, because it introduces the thing that makes Disgaea a little weird from other games like this.
I was getting tired of waiting, you lost bastards!
Lost? No, we're...
So, have you come to take the head of me, the Overlord of Bloodport, Logan? You overwhelmed me with numbers in the previous battle, but it's not gonna be that easy for you this time! Even though I've gotten long in the tooth, and I'm wounded all over, I was once the feared throwing Overlord, and I'm still sharp! Lift and throw! Lift and throw! Lift and then throw!
He's trying his best.
Well, how is that? I've reached my limit, brother.
He's out of breath before the battle even starts.
Looks like this is all a big misunderstanding, but I doubt he's gonna let us leave without a fight.
Oh, Circilia, you're eating again? Acting so casual before fighting an overlord. Now that is my Circilia for you.
This is a great opportunity. I'll teach you all about lifting and throwing.
So this is one of the main mechanics. I think they can explain it a little better than I, so I'm just going to let them explain the tutorial for me. But this is one of the main mechanics that sets a game like Disgaea apart from games like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Alright, I'll explain how lift and throw works. Let's go! Enemies won't always be within your attack range. That's just a reality. What should you do in that situation?
I know. Just make a Prinny charge.
You're too cruel to your Prinnies. Tutorial. Lift and throw. You should use lift and throw to reach enemies that are far away or up high. Go ahead and give the lift command a try by lifting me up.
Me lift up Circilia? That's impossible. I've never held anything heavier than a slice of cake.
Just do it.
It's my turn. Here I am. Oh my, I was able to do it.
Alright, now throw me toward the enemy. The number surrounded by the circle is the distance you can throw. It's 4 right now, but it depends on who's throwing.
Yeah!
And that's it. Now the distance to the enemy is closer, and your attacks can reach them. Next, how to apply it.
Yeah, dude!
You can lift more than one character.
Here I am.
Behold, the tower.
Wait, Circilia?
You can lift multiple allies like this to form a tower. After that, you can throw them in order to travel farther distances.
I see. If I throw the Prinny next, then it'll go even further.
That's right. But there are a few things you need to watch out for when lifting and throwing. 1. If you end your turn while lifting an enemy, you'll take damage. 2. If you throw a Prinny, for some odd reason, they explode.
If you throw a Prinny, it explodes?
Madam Serafina, you don't have to go out of your way to try it.
Toss! Yeah!
No! Dude!
Don't worry, he won't count.
My, how delightful! I mean, very useful. Let's keep throwing Prinnies.
Exploded Prinnies are treated as though they were defeated. You look like you enjoyed that, but don't do it too much.
Monsters can also technically throw things. Instead of lifting, they just toss something a set distance. If you throw something on top of a monster, though, they will propel it a really far distance away. Called a receive. Oh, look, Killia, you told it for me. So, the tutorial didn't count, so whichever Prinny that was isn't dead, but in the future, if I throw a Prinny, it will die. So let's try to prevent ourselves from throwing all of them. Just a few of them. Most of them. A bunch of them.
I'm gonna eat you, dude.
I'm scared.
Yeah, dude.
See?
Ready?
This is Ari. She's our healer. Now, monsters can also do another thing, which they don't necessarily tell you about. But I'm going to save it for the next time for the next episode. Because it's a little weird to explain, and they don't give you a tutorial on it until you actually do it.
I'm gonna eat you, dude.
And he's also going to eat us, apparently.
Yeah, dude.
Since Seraphina can't reach him normally, let's just toss her up there. If two things attack in the same turn, they'll do a little bit of extra damage.
Sup, dude?
And now he dies. Oh. I guess he doesn't, then. Alright, then. That's perfectly reasonable. I can deal with that. You're gonna go over there. Support the front line.
Sup, dude?
There's no way she's gonna die to this.
Is that all you got?
Nope, she's almost dead. That's a skill. If you use a certain weapon long enough, you'll learn a skill for it. Weapons have tons of skills, and not all of them are necessarily super useful, but all of them can have their situational uses. Heal is one of them. Behold.
For my master.
Now let's see if you can... There it is. The 2 damage you were missing before.
This is unexpected.
Pop that treasure chest to get a sword, which I can't use.
Sup, dude?
Let's get these Prinnies up here because they kind of... I can't throw them or else they'll die.
Ready?
And I kind of need them to start gaining experience.
Dude. Sup, dude?
Dude.
Yeah, dude.
So these two guys have guns. Guns can hit a really far distance away, but they can only ever fire in a straight line. So as long as you stay away from them in a straight line, you should be fine. Another thing you can do is defend, which just reduces the damage you take. Characters will take more damage if you hit them from the sides or if you hit them from the back. That's another thing.
Oh, dude.
Normally getting shot in the face would probably hurt a bit, but because I'm amazing, I don't take damage like that. And I'm going to say this before I get cocky, and then everyone dies because I'm stupid. I'm gonna kill that cactus. And these two should be able to fight them, I think. Yeah, this should be fine. You're gonna stay there just in case. Oh crap, he actually moves.
Oh, dude.
Right there!
And you're gonna get shot. How's that? That little noise you heard was the bonus gauge filling up by 1. So now I'll get an extra prize at the end of this. You attack that barrel.
Yeah, dude. Sup, dude? Sup, dude? Yeah, dude.
And another level down.
Master, it is done.
You! Let me tell you something, brother. This ain't over. The Lost have taken everything from me, but I still have my pride as an overlord, dude. I, Logan, the throwing overlord, shall exact my revenge against you someday, dude. You better believe it, brother.
Looks like he was just one more victim of the Lost. That concludes the basics of battle. You did well for your first time. You should be just fine without me. Alright, looks like this is goodbye.
No, you are mine, Sir Killia. Wherever you go, even if you go to the ends of Celestia, I shall follow you.
How do you figure?
Your objective is to defeat Demon Emperor Void Dark, correct? My objective is to erase Void Dark and rupture the marriage of convenience that my father decided upon on his own. Which means we are both in the same boat. We both seek to defeat Void Dark. No, it's more like we're husband and wife.
How did you jump to that conclusion?
Well, maybe not husband and wife, but we do share the same objective. So don't you think it'd be more efficient to work together?
I can't see how working with someone who has no fighting experience would be efficient.
I will make sure I never drag you down. So please, Sir Killia, let me stay by your side.
What you're saying and what you're doing are pretty contradictory, don't you think?
Well, that's because I'm a demon.
And now here are quests. You can pick up quests, and by doing them, you can get new character classes, items, or scrolls that can teach you new abilities.
Let's fix you up.
First thing to do, always heal everyone up. One more. Gaining experience on a character like Seraphina with a spear, where she's normally supposed to be as far away from the front lines as possible, wielding a weapon that puts her as close to the enemy as possible, probably is going to be a little difficult. Let's take a quest or two. And then we'll turn off the stream for now. So this is how it works. First, you take any quest you want. There can be things that give you money, things that give you character classes, things that give you scrolls, which can teach abilities, things that can give you items. There's all different things that you have to do. Everything has a small little description, and then it just tells you what you need to do on the back. This one, I have to complete a level called the Dried Up Wasteland just once. And for these, I need to get certain classes to certain ranks to unlock more classes. And these, I just need specific items that I have to give to people. For instance, for you, I could actually use those. I know. So, well, if you find a box, if you find a mission that you want to take that looks interesting, all you have to do is accept it. And you can accept 10 at a time. The ones that are green are unique and they will never go away, but they can only ever be completed once. These in black are one-time quests that can only ever be done once. They can only ever be done while they're there. If you return, they might be gone, but they will eventually come back and you can repeat them over and over again. So green is a one-time deal, black can be done over and over again. So, let's see. I can give somebody gum. I don't know what a medal and a worth is, but eventually I'll find them. I have a wrinkled clothes because I can just buy that. And for now, that'll be all. Now, if I ever have a quest that I can complete, I can go to review quests, and I can just select any that I've already done and collect a reward. These will not be done until I actually come back and get it and review it. They don't automatically complete themselves. To complete one, I just need to buy 3 Medal of Unworth and a pair of wrinkly clothes. Gives you a notification telling you that your quest is done. And you just go back and do it. View quest. Hand over the item. Bada bing, bada boom. Got my money. And for you, give these 3 useless items over. And now I got a heal spell. This is a scroll. A scroll can be used once. And once you use it, it will immediately teach a character that spell. It doesn't matter what weapon they're using, what class they are, it'll immediately teach them heal, as long as they don't already know it. Heal is, well, it's heal. You heal somebody. Very useful, very helpful, and if my healer dies, that's going to be the only way that I can actually heal people. So, I'm going to make sure that I keep my healer alive as long as possible, because I really, really don't want to have to resort to someone like Seraphina healing. But that's pretty much the main gist of the playthrough and the main gist of the game. I hope you all enjoyed this small outlook into the world of Disgaea, and my goal is that I'm going to be playing this through as far as I possibly can. You see all these save slots? Oh, look at all of them. Oof, that's a lot of save slots. So many mistakes and stuff you can make. But we're only going to be using one. So, thank you all for joining me on this road. Save one more time, just because I'm paranoid. And I hope I can see you all again on another day. Have a good night, everyone.